Hi everyone, I'm Seth Soloway, Executive Director at Spruce Peak Arts, and I'm thrilled to be here with Teddy Thompson, who's here to do our Spruce Peak Unplugged tonight. Thanks so much for being here and
Thanks
giving
for
me
having me.
a few minutes. Is this
Yeah.
your first time in Vermont?
It's not my first time in Vermont, but the last time I was here, it was a long time ago, and I was remembering this on the drive up. I was in Rufus Wainwright's band
Ah,
25 years ago, and for some reason the tour must have been beginning in this area because we rehearsed here at one of the fish guys' barn or something. It has a studio like
oh yeah, yeah,
I forget his name, Trey.
yeah.
Trey Anastasio. He had this barn studio, and he maybe was a fan of Rufus's or something. So we rehearsed in Trey's big barn for a couple of weeks. And what I remember is that we were young, and we'd go out after the rehearsal. We went, to the bar, and then on the drive home, I was like, I can drive because I didn't drink, and I drove the car into a ditch.
Oh, I've
And
done
it was
that.
snowing, and then we had to get it winched out and everything.
It's a Vermont rite of passage
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
But what are your impressions now?
It's it's lovely, and I I'm very conscious of the troughs at the side of the road, and
You have
to
to.
steer clear of them, literally
Yeah,
steer clear of them.
quite
Yeah,
literally. Although the machine they pull you out with is pretty
it was pretty
amazing.
cool. I
It's
do
pretty
remember
cool.
them coming, and they were like as if it happened all the time. They were like,
Oh, it does.
yeah,
It does.
yeah. I thought it was the end of the world.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah.
That phone call to my wife was no fun, but
Mm.
I've been here 2 years and I'm a New Yorker as well, so
Oh,
similar
yeah.
perspective
You had to do
experience.
it.
Only now I live here.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I came here is because I've done my work in these big, 3,000, 2,000 seat venues, and I thought,
Mm.
especially coming out of the pandemic, something intimate was really exciting, and that's very much the idea behind our series, which you very much fit right into with all the storytelling that you gave the audience. So I'm curious, you've played a lot of different venues. Do you have a preference between really big or something smaller?
Well, really big hasn't come up that often, although, it has once. I mean, I've done, in my time, I've done some big gigs. What often happens in the music business is you open for people who are bigger than you. So once in a while, I've played some big places for other people, but it it's a bit that's difficult, and yeah, overall, I would say smaller is more enjoyable. Because the bigger it gets, the more complicated it gets,
Yeah.
basically, for the musician. Like, the bigger the place, the more stuff that gets added on, like as far as gear and sound. It just becomes more complicated as a performer. You're like, there's a lot more to think about. Everything's just huge. Smaller is more fun.
And is there a difference, I imagine there is, with smaller in terms of the set list songs you'll do in an environment like this that you wouldn't do in a big, big place?
Yeah, not so much the set list, but there's I don't I don't think about it beforehand, but there's probably a lot less chit chat in some of the bigger. And obviously, if you're opening for someone else, you can't get away with telling 10-minute stories about cell phones or ditches or anything like that. So you just maybe stick to the script a bit more. But again, it's a bit more fun to be able to just do whatever you want. So.
Yeah, and you're doing now a mix of obviously, you've got a lot of your own music, but then you've put out this country record, so
Mhm.
you've reinterpreted, some other folk songs, and a lot of the musicians that I've gotten to talk to about this, they talk about doing their own songs over and over again, and sort of how it's always a discovery. You learn more about the song every time you play it. So has that been different? How has that been different and interesting in terms of discovering these songs that
Yeah,
you didn't write but reinterpreted?
yeah. I mean, there's something to it. I mean, first of all, it's usually it is a bit of a doing other people's songs is a bit like doing your job, but without the stress, if you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
because you can sing somebody else's song without the same investment. You have to invest in it, and you have to, you know, um, feel it. But you can often be more free with other people's material. I don't know why, but it seems to be the case. So, and that's definitely true for me. So it's a bit like music, but fun, but only
Yeah,
fun,
yeah.
because your own songs are a bit well, like there's a lot going on there, and if you're going to do them, there's a lot more dredging up of and a bit more angst
Yeah.
involved in it. So which can be great, but doing covers is often just a bit more enjoyable, or a nice to do both, I guess, really.
Yeah, what you're doing now. So
Yeah.
speaking to some of your own songs and your own music, when we were chatting when you came in, I mentioned that I became a fan of yours about 20 years ago, as you just mentioned, when Separate Ways came out. My father gave me the CD, and I got very into it at the time because to me it was a lot about heartbreak. And I mentioned to you that, I had had a little bit of heartbreak in the moment, so it felt like I could sink into it, and it was like speaking to me and what I was going through, and the way you weave story and emotion. I imagine you hear a lot of that. And
Yeah, but keep telling me how great that record is. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's interesting because I'm a music consumer and lover too, so I have records like that mean a lot, but I mean they're really good records too, and I take that as a compliment in and of itself. But there is also the time of life factor, which is like really crucial because I was listening to a Jeff Buckley record the other day because I had to learn one of the songs. I was going to do it, and it was like serious time warp. I was transported to this place, and it was just the way that you listen to music at certain times in your life is different from the way you ever listen to it again. Like when you're a teenager, the way that whatever you're listening to gets into you, nothing ever gets into you like that again. And there's other phases too. But they're all just a bit different.
Well, I agree because it made me think about it.
Yeah,
because we're about the same age,
yeah.
And 27-year-old heartbreak. And it's not all. I don't mean to make it sound like it's all negative. I mean, like, I should get up. That song, that's what I was thinking in that moment. Like, I need to go and do something else and not think about this. It was inspirational to me. And now, and especially knowing you were coming, I was re-listening, and it's got a totally different impression on me at the age and as a parent and all these different things that I wasn't.
Yeah, that happens too. And for the performer too, there's a lot of, I mean, I was saying I was recently just sort of going through old songs, which I've never done, but I was just sort of started this project and looking through them, and the songs that you sing regularly, it does happen where the meaning changes a bit. Things you wrote when you were 25 it's the same words, but they mean something different to you now. It's kind of magical. You find like, it almost seems like you knew something, unconsciously. And then with the songs that you don't play as much, revisiting them, like it's really interesting to see what you were saying when you were 20 or 30 or 40 or whatever. And then playing those songs again, you're like, well, I guess the main thing is when you play them again, or when you listen to them again, things that you don't listen to that much, or that you have, is like, do they still mean something to me? Even if it's something different.
Yeah.
And often it is something different, but it's like, is it? And some do and some don't. It's like, oh, that was a really good song, and that one not really very good. And like, I feel nothing when I play that. Maybe let's leave that
or
aside.
it's still good, but it
doesn't hit me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept to me. So I always like to leave off, since we've had a sort of a deep chat here with something fun. So obviously I haven't experienced it myself, but I hear from folks and musicians, and tour is a grind, the road is a grind. So what does Teddy Thompson do to unwind? What's the guilty pleasure thing?
Well, guilty pleasure and unwind might be different for me at this point. I have to do some physical activity. So I have to stretch. Otherwise, I feel like messed up. What they tell you, people are always telling you how great exercise is and how you should exercise and stretch and yoga and stuff. What they don't tell you is once you start, you can't stop.
Oh, I'm with
because your body will completely seize up. So now my body is expecting to be like stretched in the morning, and so I have to do that, even if it's just 20 minutes. So sometimes longer, and ideally like some running around too. Helps with the mood. And then, but guilty pleasure, like I like to smoke a cigarette here and there. I've got it down to just a few, and now I can light it and just smoke a couple of puffs and put it out. But I miss that. So yeah, that's still happening once in a while.
I mean, if it's only a few, it could be healthier.
It's only a few.
Said, I really love Below Deck reality TV or something.
That's much worse. Whatever that is, I don't know what that is.
It's one of the ones I was aware of, so I went with it. Well, thank you, Teddy, so much. It's such a pleasure to have you here, and we appreciate a few minutes. We send these out to the audience after the fact, and I know they'll enjoy it. So thanks so much, and thank you all for watching.